Okay, so this time let's debox the arm. So what I will do is I will go to File, Save Scene As, and then I will just paste the location, and I will rename this file into Deblock Arms, and then I will just save. Okay, and then I'll press W and I'll hold Shift and drag this there. Okay, now I will name this first one. I'll name this as my debox arm. So that's going to be my working object, and this is going to be my backup object. I'll just remove that number on the name. So the next thing is I will select all of these, Control H and hide the rest. Now I'll focus on this. So what I will do is I will turn on my face selection, press Q, select one of the polygons on this side, double click the next, delete, and double click the rest, once more delete, and then I'll go back to my object selection, and in the object selection I'll switch to the multi-cut tool. So now I'll focus on the arm. So at the front of the arm I will press Control and Shift and click at the 50% mark. So there, clicking that once, and then I will, here on the shoulder, once more I will press Control and Shift, clicking on the 50% mark once more, click. So that's going to be for the shoulder of the arm. I'll press Q to go back to the selection tool, go back to the object tool, and now that I have this, I will go to my polygon or face selection, switch to my lasso selection, and then I will select the polygons that I will not be needing, and then I will hide them by Control H. Okay, so now they're hidden. All I need to do now is start my deboxing with the arm set polygon. So what I will do first is I'll switch to the edge selection. I'll press Q and start double clicking this. Hold Shift, double click, double click, double click. There until here. So I'll go for Shift, right click, and then I'll choose circularize components. So again, they will start to circularize just like here. I'll press Q, space bar, and then here. So the next thing I'll do is I'll keep on this edge selection. I'll double click one of the loops here. I'll press letter E for my rotation tool. But this time, what I will do is I'll adjust the rotation, align it to my object selected or my component selected, which are edges. I'll just switch here and choose component. So now it aligns to that edge rotation or orientation. I'll click this and start rotating it to keep my edge flow aligned, just like earlier with the legs. I'll double click this, and once more I'll just align it, double click the next, keeping it in line. So the rest so far is appearing okay. So what I'll do next is I'll just reset my tool, going back to object mode so it is still straight, and then I'll close this. I'll press R for scale tool, and then I'll start scaling. But where do I scale? Which direction? This time I'll scale along this axis at the center. No? So I'll be looking here at the front, but I will be dragging here at the perspective to fit my object to the scene, pressing W, and then carefully dragging, double click the next, scale once more, drag. So I'm just repeating the process. Select a loop, scale it inwards, W or move tool if needed. Once more, double click, R, scaling in, double click. On the next, R, scaling in. So far here, I don't think I needed a move tool. Yes. And then I'll double click here and then scaling in here. And then I'll double click this, R, scale. There. So now that we have this okayed on the front view, let's go to panels, orthographic, and side. And then I will start once more. I will just select here at the front view, or sorry, at the perspective view, but this time I will drag along the blue axis, which is the forward and backward axis. Switch to W, move tool to just refit or reposition. Switch once more to the scale tool, select the second loop or the next loop, scale it towards that blue axis once more, and then W for move tool needed, Q, R, so we're just repeating the process for now, W, so that's an inner dent and elbow, R, let's scale this, and let's W drag this forward. Double click, R, scaling, W, double click, R, scale, W, and then I'll double click this, R, scale, W, move, there. So far, that's how the arm is going, but of course I have to work on also with the shoulders. So to avoid confusion, let's select the polygon selection, let's activate that, and let's select these faces here, press Ctrl H to hide, and then I'll start modeling this part. So this part also needs to be circularized, or at least to be rounded. So I'll just select, pressing Q, and then let's select those vertices there. I'll just press R, scaling it in. And then I'll do another, select and select, R, and then here. So I'm just concerned at the front view for now. Okay, W for move, there. So let's say we're following that arc there. See that? And then here. And then here. There it is. Now I will select this. This should be the protruding part of the shoulder. Say it's going there, forward. And this will follow a little bit, and this will go back further a bit. There. Now this one, this is by the armpits. Let's a little shove it forward. This one is by the chest, so just a little on that. Let's say I'll put this inwards instead. There. The next is this portion of the shoulder, the middle part. Let's say I'll move it here a little, and then I will drag it upwards to have that arc formed. Then carefully make this curving. There, so let's say that is curving. And then this one, I'll drag this one forward, dragging it downwards. There. selecting this next one here, and then here, and then here a little. So that's for the back of the shoulder. Now let's go here. This is the main protruding part also, to have that roundness of the shoulder. And then this one I need, let's say it's rounding there a little, so that the arcing, let's say that's going to arc a little bit like that there. So I'll switch to the panels orthographic and front. So let's say that's how these things will go in relation to the body. The roundness, let's see, let's have it a bit more. Okay, so I'll just adjust this a little bit here. Let's say that to follow that contour, and then this here for this. Okay, so let's say the shoulder is going that way. Then I'll go to the back. Of course, I'll have a different reference for the back panels, orthographic back there. So here is the back view. I'll start selecting the polygons or the vertices and start to drag them, because they will appear different, that those polygons there or vertices are at the front, so I don't need to drag them too much there. And then here, going to adjust this following this flow. So the front and the back follows differently or flows differently. Let's see. This is, yeah. If I will press number 3 there. So that's how that shoulder looks like, or should be looking like. Pressing 1, saving work. So next is I will Shift H to unhide all of those shoulder parts. Alright, if I press number 3, so far the arm on the shoulder part is coming out fine. Then the elbow also needs to come out properly. So just like earlier, what I've done is I have created a patch for the movement of the knee. So I'll do that also for the elbow or the arm. So let me go to panels, orthographic, and front. So what I'll do is I'll select first with lasso selection all of my selections here. There, Control H, I'll hide that. And then the next is I'll just use my vertex selection. W for move. If I press 3, yeah, this is coming along fine. Okay. So the next thing to do is I will create this area. Let me check first. Panels, orthographic, and back. This is going to be for the elbow area. So what I see here is I'll try and create a connection that follows the roundness of the elbow, just like earlier, the roundness of the knee, but this one's for the elbow. I'll do a connect settings there, right? And then I'll press Q, and then all I need to do is once more use my multi-cut, shift control. I'll just do a shift and click, it's in the middle, and connect it here without shift. There, press Q to switch tool, press multi-cut, shift, click, and then connect. Press Q, Doing it one more time here. Multi-cut, shift, click, and connect. Q, multi-cut, click, and connect. There. So next is I'll switch to W to move these carefully. Adjust them with edge slide. Let's say something like that for now. Oops, here. And then here, down here. Here and down. Yeah. So the next thing is, let's turn it off. And let's say, with what I'm seeing, I'll just test with 3 Turbo Smooth. It's appearing fine for now there. Let's say that's where the elbow is going to be. And then here, for the biceps, this area here, let us also add a patch for the elbow crease. I'll do a connect, Q, and do the same. I'll just do another multi-cut, shift, click, and connect. Q, multi-cut, shift, click, and connect. Q, multi-cut, shift, click, and connect. Q, multi-cut, shift, click, and connect. Q. Pressing 1 for vertices, W, and then just turning on once more the edge slide and sliding it off carefully on surface. There, here, and also here. And then I'll just shift click and then drag. Oops, sorry, take that there. And then here, oops, here, sorry, skip that again. There. So let's say that's going to be for that. But it's starting to appear that I may have done it a bit too long. Maybe. Right? So we'll see later on. So what I'll do next is I'll just press number 3. Yeah. Pinches are there. Pressing 1. Saving work. So far, this is going to be how my arm is going to be deboxed, or my character's arm is going to be deboxed. Shift H. There. Pressing 3. Okay. Pressing 1. So what I will do next here is the usual. I'll go to Edit, Duplicate Special, Apply, Close, Select both, Combine, Control, click the vertex. Now be mindful of your vertex count. Edit Mesh, choose Merge. It gets lessened. Q, go back to object mode, and then we'll select all of this. Edit, delete all by type history. I'll delete this subgroup. Saving work. So now I have this. This is my character's debox arm level. So I'll see you in the next lesson.